Can you hear me?
Yeah, my apologies. I had the Bluetooth headset on. I'm super sorry
Oh
about
no,
that.
you're all good. I'm like, I didn't think there was anything wrong with my microphone. So how are you doing? Happy Labor
I'm
Day
always good, man.
weekend.
Yeah, man. Always a good time. Always a good time, man. Just wanted to pick off where you guys left off on, man. You guys seem to having a pretty good conversation there. Didn't seem like it was too overly biased. I think you actually do have an open mind after that's probably the first time I ever see you like really be engaging, to be honest.
No,
But
like I was expecting him to like be more hostile and disagree with me more. Like he made it seem like, oh, let's have some big immigration debate. I mean, we mostly agreed on everything pretty much, to be
yeah,
fair.
yeah, yeah. To be honest, yeah. But I definitely disagree with a lot of things you were saying, man. So this should be a lot of fun, to be honest.
Where should we start?
I mean, first and foremost, man, when it comes down to the deportation, a lot of people are being put in certain situations, and it's not being reported on. I'm seeing this. I live in Florida, so I can,
I'm from Florida as well.
yeah, I can tell by the way. but,
I don't
but
know if that's good or bad, but I'll take it as a compliment. But I'm from Fort Myers. I'll
you're
just go
from
ahead
Fort
and say it.
Myers. I'm from Miami. I'm from Miami. I live in
Oh,
Tampa now,
nice,
but
nice. I love Tampa and I love Miami.
it's beautiful here, man. I really love it. But the biggest thing I can say, man, is that a lot of people are being put on these lists to be deported because they cannot get their residency reinstated. And it seems like it's some type of systematic, imprint that's being put there. There's a lot of people who are applying on time to be reinstated and they're not being able to be put in. And these people are here legally. They didn't come illegally. They're residents of the United States. They pay taxes, and they're law abiding citizens, obviously, or else they'll lose their residency. So I just don't understand why is that happening. It seems like to me that as much as I love this country, and I'm willing to fight for it. I the reason why, as a conservative, why I didn't vote for Trump is because I just see civil war written on his forehead. He seems to be driving separation, and instead of trying to bring this country together, and people who have different political opinions try to find a way to be a leader to help people understand each other a little bit more. I just don't see how he's doing that at all. You know, and
I will say I do agree with you. He is separating the country and whatnot, but honestly, I don't think it matters what Republican it is. If it was J.D. Vance or if it was another person, I think the liberals and the Democrat Party would be screaming at the top of their lung regardless. I mean, we've kind of seen this as an ongoing case for the last couple years, and yeah, they do have a special hate for Trump, but they have a special hate. It doesn't matter if it was Trump or someone else. Just deporting like illegal criminals, we can put all the other stuff aside. If it was someone else, they'd still be just as mad. And talking about people's renewal of visa, honestly, I'm not really qualified to talk about that. I haven't really heard any news topics,
yeah, they're not going to
or I haven't
report
really
on it.
heard about any articles or anything relating to this. But all I know is, yeah, I mean, I don't really know about this topic, so this is maybe a good thing to talk about. Maybe I should read up on it a bit. But I do have empathy for people that are, trying to come into the country illegally and their visas get rejected. Or if someone does try to renew their visa and they have an issue with it, then yeah, sure, I have empathy for them. But other than that, I really don't like. I don't know if you're open borders. It doesn't sound like you're open borders. You probably want everyone to come in with a background check and whatnot. But if
I
there's
mean,
like, sorry.
to what extent, like if there's a country that is near us that is in war or is in turmoil, like in the sense of what Venezuela was a few years ago, being the country that we are, we should take refugees. you
Yeah,
know
we
um
have asylum. There's an international asylum law, but coming from a poor country and trying to get wealthy is not like a valid reason to apply for asylum under international law. But like, don't get me wrong, I feel for them. I understand they want to improve their life circumstances, but to be quite honest with you, there's some countries in South America. There's some other countries that will gladly accept them in. Like they could go to Canada. Like I was telling the other dude. Canada has very weak immigration laws right now. So, I mean, if they really want to get a better life and go somewhere illegally, they
I
could
mean,
go to
where
Canada. I mean,
where are
sorry?
you hearing Where are you hearing that Canada has weak immigration laws?
I talked to a Canadian live on here yesterday. I mean, they have immigration laws. Maybe they have quote unquote strong immigration laws. They have immigration laws. They're just not enforcing them. Like he told me. I mean, this is the way he told me. I don't live in Canada. I'm not a Canadian citizen,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna speak for all of them. But I will just say what he told me. He said, if you enter illegally and you get a job, or even, it doesn't matter if you stayed here illegally for 5 years, or it doesn't matter like any of that nonsense. As long as you either get a job or you get a apply for school or start a business, they just forgive all your immigration crimes. Like they really don't care, and they're not really enforcing too much deportation of illegal immigrants either. So that's kind of what I mean when I
I don't
say.
know. Maybe it's just Americans that they don't like, because it's one of the toughest countries to get through in customs. They're very strenuous with their background checks and trying to figure out what is your purpose of coming into the country. You know,
I will
um,
say I've gone to Canada. I don't know if you have, but I kind of
yes, I
agree with
have.
that. They like they question you a lot at the border, which I think is fucking ridiculous. But the thing is, if you enter illegally, if you come in on a boat or you fly in there and you overstay your 90-day visa or your 30-day visa, I mean they have no problem with that. But when you're coming in through the port of entry, yeah, they are strenuous. I can't agree with you there. Like I don't know why they're asking Americans like, oh, why are you guys coming? Meanwhile, like they're losing their native population. Like they have all these. I mean, like I said, I don't have. I
Yeah,
like
it's a big
immigrants,
brain drain, a big brain drain happening in Canada right now. A lot of people are coming to America, definitely.
but those people did not help build the country, and the fact that they are just letting them stay there is ridiculous to me. Like I don't know how
Hmm.
you feel about that, but I think that like America should be mostly people that help build the country. I mean, it's a melting pot, so whatever. But for mostly countries like Italy, Poland, Canada, Mexico. I think all like Mexico should be mostly Mexicans. Like, how would they like it if a bunch of white guys just came in there and said, "Oh, it's our land now. Like, let's invade."
I mean, that's why Mexico is there, and that's why it's called Mexico, is because a bunch of white guys came and said that it's their land. I'm just saying,
I
but
don't know what you mean by that, but we did
Spaniards,
win the Alamo. We can't forget about that. And I believe
yeah,
I'm not 100% sure, but we didn't always conquer all of our land. We did purchase a lot of the land from different countries. Not
yeah.
100% sure if we purchased any
I'm not
land from
speaking.
Mexico.
I'm not speaking directly about America as per se. I'm just speaking on
But
just
Mexico is, I'm
Europeans. Yeah.
talking about current day in Mexico, is by the way, like it's mostly Mexican
Hmm.
people. And speaking about this whole, white people invading Mexico, there literally are like a whole bunch of expats or white American men, or not just white American men, everyone, a bunch of American men, I should say, that are, in Mexico City. And the Mexicans are literally protesting us and they're trying to kick us out of there. But if
Yeah,
we
of
did
course.
that to them, we'd be considered bigots and racist. Like it just seems like a double standard to me, honestly.
I mean, but we're the country of the free. We're the country where you're supposed to come with as you
No, I
are.
understand that. Like I said, I have nothing wrong with it. We're already a diverse, multicultural country, but I'm just
my
saying,
question to
like,
you is my question is this: are you afraid of becoming a minority?
no, I don't think I don't really care about being a minority. First off, and second off, I don't think the white population will ever become a minority. I mean, maybe, but like the areas that I grew up in Florida, I was basically the minority, like 80-90% of the time. So being
Yeah,
in the
Fort
minority
Myers. Yeah.
does not really bother me. Yeah, if you know Fort Myers, then you know I'm pretty much like a minority, especially a lot of the schools out there.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it just seems to me that I just want to preface that I'm a conservative minded individual. I'm an American first. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, but it seems like to me when it comes down to the right, it seems like they villainize anyone who isn't of the white skin tone. Even black conservatives. They'll be like, oh, the black community is this, the black community is that, without actually sitting there and speaking on the actual facts. Will put the black community in the situation, and the times where black communities, in the 60s and in the 70s, when they actually grew and had great economical power, whites came in and they burnt it all down. So it just doesn't make sense. You have you have things like, the stop and frisk laws, which destroyed the black family's home.
I
There's
don't agree with those kinds of things, and I also don't agree with the super predator laws that the Clintons passed in the '90s. That was
Yeah, it's the
specifically
worst. It's the
targeting,
worst, and it's
ethnic
the
people.
left. It's the left that did it. That's why I always tell my friends, like, man, maybe you shouldn't vote Democrat all the time. Maybe you should like do
I
your
mean, they
research.
they forget. They like to say the party switched and whatnot, and maybe they did. That's a whole nother debate. But the facts is that the KKK was invented by Democrats, and Abraham Lincoln was, I believe, one of the
No,
first Republicans.
it was created by aristocrats, and the aristocrats party became the Democratic Party. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and also we can't forget Abe Lincoln freed the slaves, Republican president.
Republican Democrat, but that was the name of his party. But I mean, you know, I'm I look at this country right now in the situation that it's in, with our leader. He's our leader. If he is sitting there spreading division, it's going to only amplify. I don't care if it's there already or not, but if he comes in and he speaks this type of stuff, it's only going to amplify. Thoughts are already in many people's heads, but if you have a leader who's going to tell you, hey, this is not what you should be doing, you should be trying to come together and try to figure out how we can all make this country better. I think that would help out a lot. But
I will say
eh,
that he's not spreading any rhetoric to bring the Democrat Party with the Republicans or anything like that. But at the same time, I'm not seeing what rhetoric he's using to separate people and whatnot. I mean, the stuff that he's saying, if he does say anything about the Democrat, it's fairly accurate. I mean, just like some people might say some stuff that is, fairly accurate about the Republican Party. I can agree with what they're saying, a lot of the stuff they're saying, and I can agree with a lot of criticisms on Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to say that he did everything perfectly. Like, I'm a Christian. I worship a God. I don't worship Donald Trump. So, despite what people think because of this hat or because of my
I was about
comments,
to say, man, looks like you idolize him. But I just think that we need to take a step back as a country as a whole. I don't care what your political beliefs are, or your religious beliefs. At the end of the day, we all we're under this one banner here. The red, white, and blue, and 50 stars. At the end of the day, and we all built this country. If someone comes in this country yesterday and they have a job, they're building this country. At the end of the day, that's what we have to start thinking about. How can we all come together to make this place better? And I honestly believe a little less government control would definitely go a long way. you know uh you know making sure that the actual taxpayer has more say so in what their tax dollars go to, and also more of our tax dollars going to our communities instead of going to the federal government. you know um I live, obviously you live in Florida as well, so we don't have state income tax. So, our tax dollars don't get funneled as the same way as many other states do. But even if so, most states, their state tax actually goes towards more towards, funding their polices and their programs to actually, you know, break down the actual infrastructure of the ghettos and things of that nature. It's a sad story, but at the end of the day, I just feel that if we had a leader that was more along the lines, even though I don't agree with a lot of Bush's policies, someone more along the lines of Bush, someone more along the lines of Obama, like we don't have a leader right now. We have a separatist who's legitimately sitting there speaking about people from South America as criminals and evildoers and rapists, when there are evildoers, murderers, and rapists right here in this country, and we do a very poor
yeah, they
job of
are, and he's
handling that.
using the National Guard to enforce the law and to imprison the locals here that are, doing these kinds of crimes. But you said a lot, so there's a lot to touch on. First off, I don't think Bush was a good president. I also don't think Obama was a good president. I mean, he did. Every president does some good stuff, and if you say, "Oh, this president didn't do good," I think you're just delusional and filled with hate for a specific person. Like if you say
Hmm.
Biden or Trump didn't do any good, that's kind of delusional. But
Yeah, of course.
you said you're against a lot of these deportations. Barack
Yes.
Obama deported 3 million people, and 80% of them got no due process. A lot of them were turned away at the border. I mean, if you include the ones that were turned away at the border, that would make it like 5 million deportations. The
Yeah,
ones that
but
were kicked out from the border. Sorry.
wouldn't that be something to applaud?
I mean, I applaud it, but I'm saying from your perspective that you don't want so many deportations or
No,
illegal immigrants.
I don't want deportations to be happening due to the fact that you're not going to renew a visa, which is something that's been in place for over a year now. You know, it's there's a huge waiting list for this type of stuff, man. It's ridiculous, and it's never been that way, you know. And
Your
I think
country
it's by
does have the right to turn down your visa application for many different reasons, and also, yeah, it kind of has always been like this. Like people's visas don't get renewed. There's issues with the immigration system. It's over flooded with too many illegal immigrants, and Biden let in like 15, 20 million illegal immigrants. And also, there's a lot to touch on with what you said as well. I'm trying to remember some of the stuff you just said 2 seconds ago, but yeah, no, like the immigration system, Obama, I really don't know any good things he did. Bush, I mean, I don't really know too much stuff that Bush did as well. Like Obama and Bush were not really that good of presidents. And like, my family, they voted for Obama during his first term, and a lot of them are conservatives. But after his first term and seeing how he ran shit, a lot of Republicans and conservatives like changed their mind on him and
so
like kind of backed away from him a bit. But I mean, I do think Obama was a better president probably than Biden. I mean, I can probably agree with you
definitely
there.
that.
But
That's not hard to do. I mean,
that's not hard to
I
do.
can look
But
at Bush, and you know, the wars definitely affected our economy in a negative way.
the wars,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
both Bush and Obama were warmongers. They were both
yeah,
extremely warmongering presidents. That's
but
like one of my big
but
problems
in
with them.
comparison, you know, to the point of where the economy was when Obama left office, you know, the unemployment rate was lower than it is now, and of course, you know, everyone can talk about the first year of Trump's presidency, but I think that's a residual effect of everything that Obama was doing, and you know, there's a lot of people in this world right now. The greatest thing that Obama did was the ACA. You know, there's a lot of people who weren't able to afford, you know, healthcare, and now that it's required through their job if they're full-time employees. So I think that's a beautiful thing that this country has done, and also subsidizing it as well. You know, using the taxpayer dollar to take care of the people. You know, I think that's a beautiful thing that he did. You know, and as far as when I speak on George Bush, as far as him being someone who brought the country together, you know, I don't care what your conspiracy may be. Maybe you think he did 9/11,
I
maybe he
don't know
didn't,
about that.
but
I haven't thought about that.
I'm not trying to speak on that, but at the end of the day, he brought the country together. You know, he was the type of leader that said, "Hey, I don't care what your skin color is, I don't care what your religion is. You are an American, and you need to make sure that you're fighting for that." And as a kid, man, I mean, all I could think about was like my memories of America back then was much more connected. You know, like I didn't see all of this racial division that we have nowadays. You know, maybe the social media that we have, you know, people have much more of a voice, so it's much more in our face nowadays.
I
But
think that's
I,
probably part of it.
yeah, I just don't see
But
it though.
I think
Like,
Obamacare was a failure because I know a lot of people and whatnot and this and that are saying, "Oh, he gave Obamacare," but like, man, the average income person, they can't really get Obamacare, and their insurance prices just went way up. Like that's what I hear from most conservatives. Like one guy left me a comment one time. He said, "My insurance went from being $50 to $350 thanks to Obama's care because." At the end of the day, someone got to pay for all that insurance. And like even a lot of Democrats, a lot of left wing people will even say like Obamacare was a failure. Like, I just like, and not to mention, yeah, you say about like, yeah, jobs are required to, give you insurance and whatnot and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really know if that's 100% true about that, but what I will say is that Obama is like
it's
the
not
first.
anymore. It's been
Yeah,
the Obamacare's been changed. It's not the exact same as it was when he was in office, but
yeah, I was
what it
thinking
was
so, but
is
he fined working class people that couldn't afford insurance. Like he said, if you don't have an insurance policy, that you're gonna get fined. Like that is just ridiculous to me. Like how can you blame it on someone that's just barely getting by? They're just paying their rent and whatnot. Like a lot of single parents and stuff out there that were working like the median uh,
they
salary
qualify for
jobs, they got
Medicaid.
screwed over. Like they just made a little bit too much to qualify for things like Obamacare and whatnot. Like I don't know
Well,
all
they
the
qualify.
details. I don't know all the qualifications of it back then, but that
They
happened
would
to a lot of
qualify
people in my
for
family.
Medicare, sir. You know,
Medicare, I mean, there's income requirements. There's all kinds of other things
yeah.
for that.
exactly. But so if you have a full-time job, your job is required to offer you insurance, and it's up to you whether or not you want to take it or not. But they are required to offer it to you 100% still to this day. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful,
I
beautiful
don't know
thing.
if that's 100% true either. Didn't you just say they
It's
changed it?
it's still that too. That still is in the law today. Yes, it
Hmm.
is expensive. I'm not going to take away from the fact that it's not expensive, but now everyone has HMO. They can get a lot more done with their insurance. They might have to pay a little bit more of a deductible, but at the end of the day, you have this thing that's in place for you to make sure that you can not only remain healthy but also remain a part of the workforce and incentivize people to be within the workforce. So I mean, nothing in this world's perfect. Nothing in this world's
Yeah, I
perfect.
think every aspect of our entire healthcare system is a failure, including
Yeah.
Obamacare specifically.
Well, I would.
But like
I
I
would.
said, I don't really have that much data points on it. I don't really have that much talking points. All I can say is that the majority of people that were paying for their own insurance plans, private insurance plans, all those prices mostly went up. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, it's 100% true. 100% true. But that's.
By the way, let me speak on what you talked about because I did find out the actual information about the Affordable Care Act.
Mhm.
Now, it's not all companies, it's not all jobs, but it says under the Affordable Care Act, employers with 50 or more employees, full-time employees, must offer affordable health insurance that meets minimum standards to at least 95% of their employees 30 plus hours a week. If they don't, they'll face IRS penalties. So basically, only big companies, only if you have 50 more employees. If you're working for a small town, company, if you're working for a local company. By the way, I just got this off Chat GPT. I mean, it
Yeah,
seems
yeah, yeah.
pretty accurate to me.
No, no, that's exactly what it is.
But a lot of people don't work for big corporations or places that have 50 time. Like if you work, let's say, like just a random example. Say if you work in the
50
mall, like
employees.
sorry.
50 employees. I mean, that's not a
Yeah,
lot.
that's like that's not a small or medium sized company. That's a pretty large company. That's like a corporation basically. If you're working for any small businesses, like the job that my mom had, she there weren't 50 employees. There weren't 50 employees working for them, so
Hmm.
she didn't get that. And at the same time, she had to deal with insurance prices going up because of Barack Obama and his trying to give free insurance to everyone, or not free insurance, but affordable
Definitely wasn't
insurance to
free.
everyone. Yeah, I
Definitely
said correction,
wasn't free.
affordable.
But I mean, I can understand your plight there, and I can understand the millions of Americans that were affected by that. But in retrospect, I mean, most people do work for large corporations. And at the end of the day, the ideal is to make your company grow, and you're going to get a lot of tax benefits by doing that. Keep on reading on that GBT, and you'll see that at the end of the day, it was something that was for the positive for the American people, and that's exactly why Dick Cheney waited to the last second to make sure that it didn't get vetoed, and he laughed in all the rights, all the Republican constituents' faces as he did it. It's there's everything in this country. Every problem that exists is a multi-layered problem. You can't just look at the surface and point the finger at the end of the day. Just the same thing as with this deportation thing. There's obviously a lot of people who are in this country illegally. I'm not going to sit there and deny that. I worked in restaurants for a very long portion of my life, and the back of the house was filled with guys who didn't have proper documentation.
Especially in
Until
Florida, I know exactly
until
what that is like.
until Biden came around with that e-verify thing and made it mandatory for any corporation that has over 50 employees, same thing there, that they have
Do
to
you know who Tom?
e-verify.
Sorry to interrupt you, but do you know who Tom McDonald is?
No, please educate.
He's this white rapper guy. He's like a MAGA rapper. The super chat asked me to ask you. He said the $2 super chat said, "Ask the guest: Is Tom McDonald absolute trash?" Well, he claims he's a conservative man. Maybe he wouldn't think he's trash, but I mean, I don't know. You'd have to check out his music, I guess yourself. He doesn't really know who he is. But talking about local politics in Florida, what do you think about Ron DeSantis? What do you think about Brian Donalds possibly being governor? Because I would personally love to see Brian Donalds as the future governor of Florida. I don't really want Ron DeSantis' wife running the state, but I do
Yeah,
think Ron is a good governor.
I think
He's
he's
not
done a lot
perfect,
of.
but
I think he's done a lot of good things, but I'm a huge proponent when it comes to
Sorry, you're
education.
cutting out.
I'm sorry. I'm on the Wi-Fi. Just stepped out. I'll step back in. I'm a big proponent of education, and what Ron DeSantis has done with our educational program. Removing a lot of things that are very educational of the
Like what?
American history.
Inappropriate books for kids, or what? What specifically are you talking
Do you
about?
do you find do you find it inappropriate to educate children on the slave trade?
Sorry, you're cutting out again. I can't hear you.
Do you
What is
find
it?
it
What did you say?
appropriate? Do you think it's appropriate for a child to read up on the slave trade and things of that nature?
It depends about the age of the child, but yeah, they should learn about it. But they probably shouldn't learn. Like it depends at what age. They should know about it, yeah. But when it comes to the actual grotesque shit they were doing, like you don't tell an 8-year-old, you don't say, "Oh, the slaves were bleeding all over the place." It was like you don't describe it like extremely gruesome to children. Like when you first start learning about the slave trade, you learn about it. But like when you become an adult, you learn about it a little bit differently. That's what I'll say on that.
Yeah, but you remember being 9, 10 years old, right? You had a
Yeah.
very vivid imagination, and when you were in school,
I did
you're
not.
learn.
Yeah, I didn't imagine anything close to what slavery was actually like. But I don't have that much
Of
of a
course,
violent imagination.
of course, but that's not what I'm getting at. If they're teaching that you put all these people in oppressive situations, as a kid, you're going to sit there and say, well, why didn't these people do anything about it? And of course there would be the violence that they would get in return for trying to rebel, trying to run away, and things of that nature. I don't necessarily think that we need to put how what is it, the Willie Lynch theory in there. I don't think that's necessary, but at the end of the day, that violence was a part of this country. I mean, it always has been and it always will
Absolutely,
be.
they should learn about it when they get to high school or when they become an adult. They can read up on it, or their parents can teach them about it.
But then you
But
already have this biased way of thinking, that
I don't
the
really know
slave.
how it's biased. You're learning about slavery. Like you should. There's certain things you tell kids and certain things you don't tell them. I mean, I think we both can agree on that. But this guy said in the super chat, "Isn't the Bible
No
taught to
weapon.
kids?" I mean, it's not taught in public schools in Florida. And if you go to a private school or if you're taught it by your family, yeah, you learn about it. But the Bible, at least in Florida, the Bible isn't taught in public schools. I mean, I think you can read the Bible. I don't know the exact laws about it, but I've never seen like a public school in Florida
It's not
like
allowed in
teaching about the
schools.
Bible. Sorry?
It's not allowed in public schools in
Yeah,
in
that's
Florida
exactly what
at
I'm
all.
saying.
Yeah.
At all, yeah. So,
I mean,
but
I
yeah,
I, I
parents can teach their kids whatever they want to. They have the right to do that. But the education system, certain things they should be, keeping, you know, uh, very PG, very G rated for children because they don't need to be knowing all this kind of bull crap and whatnot. But like I said, I don't think that I don't think you're distorting their view of the world. I mean, they're children. They have innocence. I mean, they shouldn't be looking at the world like me and you look at it. At the end of the day, I just don't know.
I you know, right now, if there's a mass shooting, it's plastered over the news. They talk about it in schools.
And I don't think
That
they should be talking about it in schools. And I don't think they should be
why
I
wouldn't
don't
you?
think kids should be watching the news.
Well, this is my thing. Mass shootings typically happen in public areas, right? And it's very
Yeah.
common in this country to happen in schools. So why wouldn't we educate children on the possible threat of it happening?
Well, I mean, because how? First off, how are they going to protect themselves against a gunman? I really don't like. We do all these ridiculous exercises in school. They're like hide under a desk, hide in the closet. I mean,
Block the
bro,
doors, wait for
you're
instruction
shooting
from your
down that
teachers.
door in seconds. You're blowing down doors left and right. Hiding under a desk or hiding in a closet isn't going to help anything. I mean, if there's
Hey,
an actual school incident, the kids should jump right out of that
I
window and
don't
run as
I don't
fast as
think
they
you
can.
understand how powerful reinforced metal is.
I
You
mean,
shoot.
it depends on the metal, but most doors you can just blow them right off the hinges with an AR, and
No,
most school doors.
the desk have reinforced metal on them, and if you hide under them and drop them down, the bullets hitting are not going to have as much power when they come through. You
Well,
have
I
to
don't know what
educate.
kind of metal desk they had at your school, but none of the schools I ever went to had metal desks. And also, a 9 millimeter can blow right through a car door, right? Like, I'm just
Yes, I
saying.
understand that. I understand that, but it's not going to have the same amount of velocity as it had if that wasn't there.
It does slow down the velocity, but if you're 8 or 9 years old taking a bullet to the chest, I don't think you're going to survive. I hate to say it, but maybe this is a good debate topic we can talk about. Also, someone said a stupid super chat. Can you guys have an intelligent conversation? I think we're having one actually, but
Hey, it
thanks
is what it
anyway.
is. Hey, thanks for the super chat. But at
But
the
what do
end
you
of the
think? What do you think about like places in Texas have done this and it hasn't really shown any negative side effects? I've seen schools in Texas where the principal. I mean, I don't think all teachers should have guns, but I would like to see more
yeah,
armed. Like if Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, has armed security, then why don't our kids deserve armed
that's
security?
exactly what I was going to say.
If these politicians deserve armed security, then why can't we? Why don't teachers? First off, not only is it, I don't know how you feel about the Second Amendment, but not only is this impeding the Second Amendment, I don't think all teachers should have firearms. Yeah, I can agree with that. Maybe we can make some kind of special classification of firearm license so they can bring it to school. But a lot
Mhm.
of teachers are highly trained with the Second Amendment and firearms and whatnot. Maybe they should be allowed to protect their children. Like a lot of teachers would die for their children, but it's sad to see teachers dying in shootings with
I don't
when
I,
they can
I don't
protect the
agree.
children.
I don't agree with the teachers having the guns per se. I think there should be armed security in the schools, not just one cop. Teaching's a very hard job, and these kids are freaking very disrespectful, and not everyone is as stable as you think. So, you know, all it takes is one kid to throw a punch at one of these teachers and they're pulling out their gun and they're shooting that
I
kid.
can agree. That's why I said maybe a special license or something. But like, I mean, they could do that anyway. They could have a gun in their car. The teacher could go to their car and shoot them. But that's a whole nother scenario. But the reason I think that teachers should have, or there should be some kind of license or some kind of way for at least a couple teachers in the school to have firearms, or at least the principal, at least one or two people that are not the security guard, is because we can look at the Parkland shooting incident. There was a cop there. He had a gun. He was a cowardly bitch. He
Yeah,
said,
he's
"I'm
set in the
about to
car.
retire next week."
He's set in the fucking car.
Like he was a cowardly bitch. He said, "I'm about to retire next week." He could have just shot. He could have just shot the dude down. Like I'm not a police officer, but if I was standing near a school and I seen that happen and I had my firearm with me, I'm going right into action. Like
I
I'm
mean,
taking that guy down. But that cop could have been a hero so easily. But he was a
yeah,
coward. He was scared of a untrained 15, 14. I don't know how old that guy was, but he was untrained with firearms. Like he
yeah.
could have easily just taken him out. It wouldn't have been difficult.
I'm just saying. Something tells me that guy was a Trump supporter. I'm just.
That is kind of a ridiculous claim.
I'm just fucking around now. I'm just fucking around.
But he
I
was a
just,
coward. We both
I just
agreed, and
wanted to mess with you.
that's one of the reasons why I think armed security might not be enough because some of these teachers, some of these principals really care about their students, and they really care about the kids and whatnot. And all you guys dropping super chat saying "kiss," you guys are weird. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, it's your fan base, man. I guess I'm a part of it, and I'll probably be right there with them. Fuck, to be honest. But I mean, the best thing I think to first thing and foremost is to definitely educate the children on the fact that this is a possibility. For one, just so that they can protect themselves the right way. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want the kids when there's a mass shooting all running out of the doors, going into the hallways, becoming targets. So I think that's something that should definitely be educated. And then also, to harp back on what we were talking about prior to that, when it comes to Ron DeSantis removing all of this stuff about what happened in slavery and the transatlantic slave trade and the actual details of it, I think it's just people who don't like being having the blame put on them for what their ancestors did. And I can understand that. I can understand how you can feel like it's not your fault that all these things happen. And, as a whole, minorities look at you as the enemy based on what they learned in schools. And I think that's what it's more rooted in. I don't think it's about preserving the innocence of children. I think that's just a fancy little cover up.
I mean, talking about slavery, they're still gonna learn about slavery. They're just not gonna learn about the graphics of it at like 8, 9 years old. And to say that it's the white man covering up the slave trade is kind of crazy, my guy. Because, like, for instance, none of my family members were ever slave owners. We came into this country. I mean, I'm like, my great great grandparents came into this country, and you got to think that was in the late 1800s. None of my
Mhm.
family ever owned slaves, so like a lot of white people weren't even related to slave owners or whatnot. Like, I mean, maybe there is maybe some people
I
do this
mean,
some places and whatnot, but like, I don't know.
they
I
may
don't know
not
how
have
you can
been.
say he's trying to
They
cover up
may
the
not.
slave
They may
trade.
not
They're
have
gonna
been
know
slave
about it one way
owners.
or another.
They
Sorry.
may not have been slave owners, in America. I can understand that, but there was a whole economy of this stuff in Europe, and where do your ancestors come from?
Europe.
So I mean, and the ideal was that the white man was better, and this is why it's okay to treat these people this way. And that's something I learned in the fifth grade. You understand? And I gained a very strong understanding of why these things happen. Like you can't teach somebody something and hide the true information. It should be a build up of information. When you learn math, you learn addition and subtraction, you learn multiplication and division, then you learn your fractions, then you learn geometry, then you learn algebra, then you learn calculus. It's a build up of information. Of course, we don't have to push this shit in kids' faces when they're 6 and 7 years old that the Willie Lynch theory was something, but they should definitely be learning about this stuff in high school, and it should
They're
be an
learning
add
about
on.
it. Just
Huh?
because certain books are banned doesn't mean that they're not learning about it.
I mean, through their own independent studies, this isn't being taught in schools.
Slavery is still being taught
And
in schools.
the actual the actual violence that took place and the fact that there was violence for use of control and how it actually went about happening. They're even
I
removing
mean,
the
kids
fact.
can't really.
I mean, I think I did.
Sorry, you're
I
freezing
think
up.
I definitely, yeah, you're cutting in and out too. Um, I think it might be on your end, to be honest, because
Okay, here should be better now.
okay,
But no, yeah, like maybe at a certain age you can comprehend it, but like a 4 or 5 year old or someone that's in first grade, they probably can't really. They can't comprehend 99% of the world yet. So to say that this
first,
or that.
I just
Also,
see
I'm
it.
just gonna talk about these super chats for a second. These
I was
guys
just
are a
going to
little
say
bit weird.
something. I just saw something in the chats that's been popping up a lot. I am not an advocate for reparations whatsoever. I don't think that it's going to be beneficial to this country whatsoever to pay off, you know, a lot just black people. Like, how does that work? Like my family is from Haiti and Jamaica. They were never enslaved in America, so I should not be receiving reparations from America. That's crazy. Maybe from France, maybe from England, but like I think that's a very it's not something that's going to work out very well because then people are going to be getting left out who feel like they should be put in. It's too much. Shouldn't
Yeah, it
happen.
is too much. His family wasn't American slaves, and my family wasn't American slave owners. So why the fuck are either of us involved in this bullshit? But let me talk about these dumb
I know Haitian
comments.
Jamaicans were slaves. That's what I just said, you idiot. Go ahead, man.
Li- Literally covering up the slave trade when the Bible is taught at home. I mean, no one is covering up the slave trade. Second super chat says, "No more politics. Let his black pole open you up." That is weird. That is weird, my guy. That is weird. That is like the ultimate troll comment.
I mean, it's something wrong with the men in America when they want to insult people that we go to this homoerotic fucking bullshit, which is disgusting. But go ahead, continue to read those super chats, man.
Um, you already answered this one. Haitian and Jamaicans were slaves. Yeah, but like you said, they weren't American slaves
Yeah,
in
they weren't
America.
American
So
slaves. I mean, America did do a lot of bullshit to Haiti, but we're not getting into that today. That's that's a long conversation there. Um, and another thing, just the removal of textbooks, the funding for textbooks has definitely been cut in half. Just all of these things that instead of pouring money into the educational system, it's getting pulled out, and you can look at how these bonus structures are set up. I also do I appreciate what Rod DeSantis is doing with his version of Doge. Where he's cracking down on all of these counties that are overspending. I really
I didn't
appreciate
know
that.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a really good job at that. They're auditing all of these counties like left and right. They're doing a really good job of it. And they're getting people out of office that don't deserve to
They
be
should
there
probably
because
audit Fort Myers because I guarantee you there's some corruption down there.
yeah, definitely. I mean, all throughout Florida. I mean, the biggest area though is definitely going to be Tallahassee though, which is it's kind of crazy that, he's doing that and he hasn't done it in Tallahassee yet. But I hope that our next governor is someone who probably isn't, I don't want to say not a Trump supporter, but somebody who can be standoffish to things that aren't unifying this country. You know,
Yeah,
I think
it looks for talking about the next governor. It's looking like either Ron DeSantis' wife or Brian Donalds. And like I said, I don't. I kind of think it's weird to have your wife run as the governor when you just ran for so many years and
yeah,
whatnot.
that's
So
like
I'm
a
not really
monarchy.
for that,
It's like
huh?
a monarchy. It's like a monarchy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. It's a little bit weird, and I think Brian Donalds will do a really good job for Florida. I believe he's from New York, but hey,
Yeah.
man, he's a Floridian at heart, I guess.
I don't know about him too much, man. Something about him gives me I can't trust him, man. To be
I
honest,
probably know why you can't trust him because he was a big Trump supporter. But at least, I mean, shit. At least,
that's
at
that's
least,
exactly what it is.
huh? That's
That's
exactly what it
exactly what
is.
it is. Yeah,
I mean, I like Brian Donalds. Shit. I mean, I think he's not only a good politician, but he'd be a good Florida governor. But I mean, to
yeah,
be fair with you, I mean, all the Republicans that would run in Florida for governor are probably going to be Trump
yeah.
supporters.
one
To be
hundred
fair with
percent.
you,
I mean,
and I
yeah,
don't want Florida to become a blue state. That would completely ruin it. We already got a problem with all these northern Yankees coming down into Florida. Like they're trying to flip it already. They're like screaming at the top of their lungs. They're like, "We're gonna make it a blue state." I'm like, my guy, didn't you leave New York for a reason, or didn't you leave
yeah,
California for a reason? Like
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Creamland,
don't.
don't delete anyone's super chats, man. How many times do I gotta tell you this? If you keep deleting them, I'm not gonna keep you as a moderator. I love you, bro, but don't be deleting people's super chats.
They
And
pay
this
for
guy
that,
said
buddy.
$50 if you're actually like kissing on the duo. What the hell are you talking about? And second off, this guy said you didn't say that last night when I said that thing about kissing.
This is getting really weird, man. I'm sorry. I don't know.
It is getting weird. These people are very strange to me. It
Yeah,
says you deleted it, man. Just please don't delete any comments this stream. Unless they say some racist bullshit or some crazy heinous shit, then don't delete it. Other than that, if they say like bullshit that's racist or heinous, delete it, kick them out. But if they say anything like regular or weird, that's fine. I don't care about weird shit. They can say whatever they want.
so would you like Ron DeSantis to be the next president?
No, hell no, actually, no.
Why is that?
I think he does good a job at a state level, but I don't think he's perfect. I think he, screws up quite a bit. I mean, obviously, if it was Ron DeSantis versus AOC, I'm choosing Ron DeSantis. I don't know about you. Maybe you'd vote for AOC, but I'm
I
choosing
don't. I
Ron
don't.
DeSantis.
I don't know. I'll have to see what both of them are running on.
Fair
I
enough.
don't
Fair
I don't
enough.
just want to. I'm very 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 big on that. I mean, there's a lot of times where there are people
I
who are
would vote
wearing
for a
the.
Democrat, by the way, if they had good policies.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best way of going about it because there's a lot of times where, they're wearing a blue coat, but they're definitely conservative. And, there's also people who not so much, but that are on the red side that are a little bit more liberal than others. So, you just want to take a deep dive into their actual policies and see what they're actually going to do and not just based off of their party. I don't do that. I don't think it's a good way of being an American. I hate that it's being pushed down our throat like this, where we have
Yeah.
two options and we have to go with the lesser evil. It's sad, man.
Well,
To be
no
honest.
president will ever be perfect. They probably won't fit all. They will probably never check all of our boxes. Neither one of us. But George W. Bush says Alex Jones for president. Alex Jones is a maniac, but I can get behind that. Send his money back or kiss. I never promised to kiss anybody.
Um, so let's do one more topic and then I gotta get out of here. I gotta work in the morning.
Okay, okay. Let me think. Let me think. Yeah, I don't really like those people that are blue no matter who, but I'm not red no matter who. So why the hell would you be blue no matter who?
I think brainwashing is probably the best way to put it, man. Your mode block is deleted in the chat. So oh, okay. Um, I would just say it's just simply, just brainwashing because, a lot of my black brothers and sisters, I've educated them on what actually happened during the Clinton presidency because they feel as if he was the best president ever when, when it comes to the black community, he probably did the most damage of any president in
Yeah,
all
he is
history.
extremely racist and
I, w-
bigoted.
I wouldn't say that, he was racist. I think he just understood,
Well, his
what.
policies were racist. Let me put it that way. Maybe he wasn't racist, but his policies were racist.
Yeah, you can say that, but I think that it was already in place. The war on drugs really is what did the most damage, and it was already in place. And he just wanted to get into office. He made a lot of promises to people who would normally vote Republican, and obviously he had to double down on everything that has happened in the past. And obviously, the results are the results after that.
One
It's
thing I
it's
can say that I remember them saying that was extremely racist is they said that young young black women and men are super predators. That's what they called young black people. They called them super predators.
Mhm.
And then they increased they said that if a young black person gets convicted of crime, they basically passed these laws, I believe, that gave them more time in prison than like white people or another group of people. Like that should be illegal.
Well, they didn't pass laws per se
They
that
passed a
stated
bill, I
that.
think.
It was the basically the 10-20 life thing. What happens is that when whites were arrested for the same crimes, they weren't, their sentencing wasn't as long, and their conviction rate also wasn't as high. A lot of times they got dropped down to lower charges, and that's just America. I don't want to say that's Bill Clinton per se, but he did write the law and put it into place for those type of penalties to be put in place. And these the judges exercise it to the fullest potential when it comes to black individuals. And it's really sad. It's extremely sad. It's still affecting the community to today. I have a
Yeah.
cousin who he went off to Ole Miss. He was a running back, and he needed some money. It wasn't NIL back then. He was a drug dealer. He stole someone's car, and he had a illegal weapon on him. He's serving life in prison right now. No chance of
Jesus
getting out.
Christ.
Yep.
That's horrible.
He was 19 years old, but and
He needs a
I don't
pardon.
I don't I don't want to sympathize with criminals, but at the end of the day, for someone who doesn't commit a violent crime, shouldn't be
Yeah, you should
spending.
not be getting life in prison.
Exactly.
Actually, I have a good topic idea, but if anyone else has any topics, you can drop a super chat. If you want to be on, you got to drop a $20 super chat because you've been acting a little bit weird. But I will say maybe you can agree with this. Maybe this is something that you can like about Trump. Trump has been freeing a lot of black and brown people in the community. He's been freeing everyone, not just black and brown, but he's been freeing everyone out of prison. He's been
Yeah,
freeing like
he's definitely the pardon president.
the
Definitely.
pardon president. I mean, yeah, he's the pardon president. I like that about him. Like maybe maybe you don't like that, but shit. I think more pardons need to be given out. The only people that Biden gave pardons to was like his entire family. He
Yeah.
also gave a pardon to he gave clemency. Basically, this guy got out of jail. I think he got the clemency in 2024 and he got out of jail in 2025. He killed a
Hmm.
mother and an 8-year-old child.
Yeah.
And Biden freed this guy. Like what the actual fuck?
I mean, that's just dementia. That's all that is.
No, I did.
um,
Oh yeah, Little Wayne, and
Lil
Kodak
Wayne, yeah.
Black.
Yeah, but I think Trump has a lot of great policies. First and foremost, making us individualists again, I think is huge, man. We need to get everything back into this country. We need to manufacture our own goods. That needs to happen. We need to tax companies that have their headquarters and manufacturing in other countries. We need to tax them way more. And I agree with that. That's a beautiful thing. This expansion of his tax bill and a lot of the things that he added into it. I'm not the hugest fan of having people who are poor pay more taxes. And
I have not seen that. I have
so
not seen that. I've looked extensively over this tax bill. Some people are claiming that people making under $17,000 a year are going to pay more taxes. I've even seen people claim that people making under $15,000 a year are going to be paying more taxes. I'd like to start this off by saying people that are making under $15,000 a year, they don't pay any federal income tax because there's a standardized deduction. I mean, The deduction in 2025 is $15,000. That means every dollar you make after $15,000, you're going to get taxed on. But there's a standardized deduction. I mean, you will normally pay Social Security and Medicaid tax, but that's not you being that's not your paycheck being taxed on the
It's
federal
not
level.
the
That's
federal
just
tax percentage.
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
I mean, so where difference is, with his original tax bill, if I'm not mistaken, it was a 12% tax rate for anyone who makes under $15,000. It's now a 16% tax rate, and that may not seem like a lot. And of course, the deductible has always been there, as you said, but you don't see that until the end of the year. And for somebody who's making, $15,000, $1,000 is a lot of money, man. You raise 1%, that's $1,000. So I mean, I'm sorry, you raise it 1%, that's like $500, and it may not seem like a lot to you or to me for that instance, but somebody who's making that little bit of money, and there's a household full of people that way, it can really damage them at the end of the day. And also on the back end of that, the child credits are also something that is, it looks like it's going up, but you also are going to be you're going to have to meet a certain set of specifications as far as tax write-offs in order to hit your maximum payout, which has never been in the system before. A lot of people, rely on those tax returns for, balancing out their finances, especially in ghettos and lower income areas. So I think that's something that is definitely it's not beneficial to the American people, because there's a lot more people making that amount of money in this country than there are making millions and billions of dollars. And those are the people who receive the biggest tax breaks when it comes down to his tax law.
Yeah, I don't know about the tax, the requirements for the child tax credit, but
Hmm.
there should be requirements. They shouldn't be that difficult. Maybe just show proof that you have a child or something like that. And I want to talk about the tax brackets because I had someone trying to debate with me about this earlier, and I did do some research on ChatGPT. I don't see anything about going from a 12 to 16% tax bracket. And I have ChatGPT pulled up here. I'm not 100% correct about this, but I do see that the tax brackets, the first tax bracket is 10%, 12%, and then 22%. I don't see anything about like I'm looking through all these resources. I don't see anything about it going from a 12% to 16%. I really don't know about that. But also, let me just address the super chat. This guy said, "Chat, do you want me on?" Man, I said you could come on for a $20 super chat because I'm not really a big fan of a lot of your comments. I just want to put that out there. But yeah, when it comes to this child tax credit, yeah, maybe there is some requirements like show a child. I don't know. The requirements shouldn't be that difficult. But the tax credit did go from 2,000 to 2,200. I mean, I think it should be raised a bit more, but at least that's something that you get. And also
Um,
talking about the tax brackets, I do have a little bit of the information pulled up. I mean, the standardized deduction is increasing. I don't think that has anything to do with Trump, but last year it was 13,400. This year it's a $15,000 tax deduction, and like that, it doesn't matter how much you're making. That helps everybody. But I don't think that has anything to do with Trump. So I'm just gonna go out and say that. But for earners that are making between 30 and $50,000 a year, you're getting basically 9.5% tax cut. And for this is the Joint Committee on Taxation. This is a quote from the Joint Committee on Taxation. It's a non-bipartisan body, but bipartisan. Some people say that. I don't think there is anything such thing, but basically they're estimating that this new tax bill that went into place is going to, for people making 30 to 40 grand, they're estimating it's going to be about a 9.5% tax cut, which is like the
mhm.
majority of Americans. And for people that are making 40 to 50 grand, it's a 7.2% tax cut. And I'm not really seeing like too much stuff because you got to think when you're making well, here's a breakdown of it. When you're making a $30,000 income, you're going to get a standardized deduction of 15,750. That means you're only going to pay taxes on 14,200 of that money, and you're roughly going to be in the 12% tax bracket. You're gonna be saving, it really depends on everything, but you're gonna be saving like a couple $100. But from what I've seen, that people that are making like $50,000 a year, they can be saving a couple $100 to like a couple $1,000. I've seen some things that say $2, $3,000.
Yeah, but all of this is at the end of the year.
Yes, that is
And
true.
if you couple that with all of the programs that are being slashed and cut and the amount of benefits that are being, slashed and cut, that's just a big fuck you to the poor guy. I
I
don't agree
haven't really
with it.
seen any benefits get cut, but that can be a whole nother like debate to
EBT
talk.
and SNAP, the amount that they're going to be giving out is it's going to be less, and then also on top of that, you're going to have less of the people being able to access it. On top of that, there's going to be more requirements. I don't have it in front of me. I did read up on it, and that's what I got from it. At the end of the day, you can do a little bit more research on that.
Yeah, I haven't done too much research into that, but I do think there should be more requirements to get access to that. I think a lot of the native population would be a bit upset if they seen like illegal immigrants and whatnot taking that. And many people will argue, they'll say, "Oh, you need a social security number, you need a driver's license, this or that." I mean, if you're familiar with the guy that just killed the three people in Florida, that was an Indian truck driver. I mean,
Hmm.
people will say you need a driver's license and this and that to get these benefits. I mean, this guy was an illegal immigrant and he managed to get a commercial driver's license in 2 states. So if
Hmm.
he's able to get that, you're telling me that these illegal immigrants, in some circumstances, aren't taking some of the American benefits like EBT and whatnot.
Yeah,
Like I
but
said, I don't really know anything
for me,
about slashing
these
EBT
people
or
come
anything
to
like
this.
that, but I have to look into it.
I mean, these people come to this country with nothing, though. You
Yeah,
know,
I know they come into this country with nothing, but if they're
and
illegally coming here, they shouldn't be getting all these benefits. And second off, many countries don't even let you in there. You have to show that you can support yourself before you immigrate there. Like
yeah.
they want to see bank statements, whatnot. They don't just
Hmm.
want you to come there with nothing, because then you're going to be a what's the word for it? You're going to be aware on the tax system basically, because you're
Hmm.
going to be like
You're
taking
not
off
adding
all the
to it.
benefits and
Yeah,
whatnot.
you're just taking. You're not adding. I mean,
And I
I
can
can.
honestly see, like, not to mention that many people argue, oh, they pay taxes. Well, my argument for that would be a lot of people that are in the lower tax bracket are receiving more in benefits than they are paying in. And I not only just people in the lower tax bracket, I would say like even medium income people. In some circumstances, they're taking more tax benefits than they're paying into the tax system. And yeah, in general, like another thing is even if the illegal immigrants do pay taxes, say they come here when they're 32 years old. Okay, congratulations, you paid 1 year of taxes. People that have been living here for 30 years been paying taxes much longer than you. So they deserve those benefits before you do, and they've been paying more into the tax system than you.
Well, of course, and I'm pretty sure those people are eligible for the benefits. It's not like they're not getting the benefits. I think like the way you're putting this is that because these people are not American, so to speak, right? That they shouldn't be able to get these benefits. I understand entering this country illegally is a problem, and especially if you have bad intentions when you come into this country, like let's say you're a cartel member or something like that. But that's not the case for over 80% of the people that are trying to get to this country, man. They're just looking for a better way of life, just as your ancestors did once upon a time. And for the most part, a lot of these people who came to America for a better life back in the 1700s, they had it pretty well off in Europe. And they built this beautiful country for people who are in dire needs, so that they can come to this place, find work their way up the actual caste system. And right now, that's something that's becoming even harder and harder in today. And I'm not sure of your financial situation, but at the end of the day, how hard is it for you to enter into the next tax bracket right now? It's damn hard, and especially with the cost of living. Once you do break into that new tax level, how much would it really matter? So those people should have a chance to come to this country, and if we have the excess of funds as we do, I mean, look at our military budget, and that's enough for you to know like we can definitely help feed these people if they want to come to this country and earn money and be a part of our system at the end of the
The
day. Now
main thing I'll be saying is we don't even feed our veterans. We don't even feed our native population. Now, if you come into the country legally, you come with a visa, yada yada yada. Fine, get benefits, whatever. But do I think you should be taking up our benefits when we got homeless people on the street? We can argue this military standpoint. At the end of the day, we do need a military, but I do think that we
yeah.
spend a little bit, a lot on military, a little bit too much. But at the end of the day, we do have like a lot of people that are for open borders will
The
argue,
next three
"Oh,
spenders, the next three closest spenders to America in budget can combine and still won't make up for our defense budget.
well, I'm glad because we have a lot of enemies. We've always historically had a
And
lot of enemies."
but that's our fault. You know, that's our
I
doing.
mean, it is our fault, but when you got a lot of enemies, you got to beef up your firepower.
Hey,
Like, you know,
I love our army. You know, it's one of the biggest things I actually freaking study up on is the history of all of our wars and our battles, and also the power of our actual army today. But at the end of the day, if we have that much money in surplus to just throw at it, at the end of the day, right now, if we break out into war, the government isn't going to have any problem with raising that defense budget immediately. And I'm right there with you when it comes to our homeless and our veterans, that we need to try to take care of them a little bit more. But you know, the loudest screamers of that point are the exact same people that aren't in a soup kitchen line. They're not at their veterans office trying to recruit people to come in and get the benefits. They're not advocating for their veteran offices to do better. They're not in the communities, and that's an American problem. That is not a immigrant problem. That's us. We need to hold our politicians accountable, just as you're trying to hold our politicians accountable for the border. And that's at the end of the day, that's how we're going to get that fixed. It has nothing to do with them. We have so much money in this country, and it's at a very large surplus. And there's no reason
we're
why we
also a
can't.
debtors nation. We got to be really careful, I think, with who we help, this person, that person. Yeah, if you come legally, if you don't break any laws, okay, I'm all for it. But we have seen like in certain cities, border cities, different cities where the infrastructure is being like heavily like damaged by all these illegal
Mhm.
immigrants coming in, especially in border towns, especially in Texas, especially in different places like this. The infrastructure is tanking. The public school system is flooded with these people instead of American children, instead of legal citizens' children. It's like absolutely getting wrecked left and right, all kind of infrastructure problems. Like I said, if you didn't break any laws, I'm fine with you, collecting benefits or whatever, whatever. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not really like loving when people do it because at the end of the day, someone has to pay for it, and it's kind of like upsetting to see, oh, like I gotta pay so much taxes, thousands of dollars in taxes just to have it redistributed. Like my main problem isn't with people getting benefits. I don't really care about that. Like I think if you need food stamps, if you need Section 8 for a little bit, all right, that's fine with me. But when it gets to the point where you're like in your 20s or your 30s, you're healthy, you're not disabled, you can work, you don't have any children, and you're just like refusing to like, work and whatnot, and you just want to like collect benefits, or maybe you're only working 10 or 20 hours a week and you're just collecting all these benefits. That's kind of where I got a problem with. I'm like, all right, I get it. Everyone needs a step up sometimes and whatnot. Everyone needs some help here and there, but like it's been like 5 years, 10 years, and you're still on the same kind of shit. I mean, you don't have to be a millionaire, but there's you can do some construction work. There's high paying construction jobs. There's different kind of jobs out there. You can do road work. Road work is a really good manual labor job that has really good pay and whatnot. There's all kinds of different jobs out there with.
Yeah, but
I mean, not everyone wants to do manual labor, but like I said,
but
if
you,
you're in
you
your
see,
20s,
you see,
30s,
you're bringing up all these things, and these are the things that Americans don't want to do. Yet we're
well,
being
like I said,
flooded.
if they don't want to do them and they're collecting benefits, they're lazy. They should not.
Yeah,
That's my
but we're
entire
being
point. They don't want to
but
do them
but we're
because they
being
can
flooded
collect
with
benefits
these.
instead.
But you're being flooded with these immigrants who, like, historically in this country, those are the jobs that they do, and which
Like I
actually
said, I'm
benefit.
I'm kind of with Trump. Like I said in the last debate, I'm kind of with Trump on this. Like, if he wants to give some of these people that are doing farming jobs and some of these harder jobs quicker visas and stuff like that, like Trump said he wanted to do, I'm all with that 100%.
But
If
he's
you want to
not
come
doing
on,
that.
if you keep commenting and spamming, oh let me on. Like I said, drop a $20 super chat. I know you're just gonna come on here to try to troll. So if you want to be on here so badly, it's that simple.
Yeah. I mean, but me and you both know he's not going to do that because he hasn't written it into law yet. You know.
It's only been the first 6 months, and he's been doing a lot of different things. There's wars,
I
there's this
mean,
war, but maybe he won't do it. Maybe he will. I guess we'll have to find out and see. But to be
I
fair
mean,
with you, there's
he's
not
been
really
throwing
any
down sweeping
cases
legislation
where
to get people the fuck out.
there's only been one or two cases. There's only been one case where I've seen that ICE has actually targeted farmers, and it was when kids were working at an MJ farm in California. I don't know if you heard about this, but there were 11 and 12-year-olds working at an MJ
Yeah.
growing facility. Now there was about, I believe, 13 or 14 minors working with narcotics. I mean, legalize it all we want. That's cool and whatnot. But at the end of the day, this is a substance. This is a substance that they should not be touching because there's multiple reasons. I mean, if you're touching that kind of stuff, it gets all over your hands. You put your hands in your mouth. I mean, you can get high off of it, basically,
Yeah.
like and whatnot. But that's not the only reason. But also, Democrats are defending them. They're saying, oh, they're old enough to work. I mean, in Florida, you got to be 14 to get a part-time job. So like bro, you cannot work at 11 or 12. And not to mention these illegal immigrant children. There was 3 or 4 illegal immigrants that were arrested that were grown men, and these people were charged with PDF crimes against children, and they were working on the same farm as these children. And people like Gavin Newsom has publicly said, oh, it's horrible what ICE did, they should have kept these people. Like,
Fuck
what
Gavin
the
Newsom.
hell?
Fuck Gavin Newsom. Everyone in America feels that way.
I think I like to believe so, but crazy enough, I've actually seen some people that support that guy. Like, it's wild.
I haven't met anyone on the left or the right that like that guy.
But
Like,
have you met a lot of people that like Obamacare? Because I asked Democrats, a lot of them supported it back then. Like
mm-hmm.
my grandparents were a big supporter of Obama, and they liked the idea of Obamacare, even though like they're still huge Democrats to this day. Let me talk about the super chat for a second. This guy tells you to send a $20 to debate, and you send him like 100, and he doesn't debate you. What a scam! No one sent 100. And second off, I said drop a $20 super chat if you want to debate. It's that simple. But that's the last time I'm gonna. Yeah.
Hey,
So
all you
what?
guys got to do is go into his Discord. Simply tell him that you want to debate him. You're trolling here, trolling there.
Yeah,
It'll
but if
work,
you're
man.
trolling and you want to come on, drop a $20 super chat. Like that
Yeah,
guy trolling, he has to drop a $20 super chat if he wants to
yeah,
come on.
yeah.
You
At
have
the end
not
of the day.
sent me over 50. That is a blatant lie.
Hey,
So
at
have
the
you
end,
have you met anyone that likes like have you asked a lot of people what they think about Obamacare and
you
whatnot
know,
or
I work for this one company for I would say about 9, 10 years. They're staunch Republicans. They voted for Trump. Um, and the owner of the company, he actually had a conversation with me when it was the end of Obama's second term, and he basically told me that at first he was a huge supporter of it, and he felt like it was good for the American people, but he doubled down. He said, "Man, I'm paying so much for insurance. It's like I can't believe it, as an individual myself." So I have spoken to people and they feel that it's been beneficial for the people who it's beneficial to, they love it. For the people it's costing them more money, they're not going to like it. But at the end of the day, I would assume that most people that are in lower income, they're working you know minimum wage jobs at large corporations and for years now, and they don't have insurance. They can't go get their freaking rotting tooth pulled out. Yeah, it's going to cost you $200 more a month, but if you're making 60,000, $70,000 in a year, $200 towards your insurance, that should not be an expense that you complain about when you're driving a freaking Mercedes and paying 400, $700 a month for it. It's kind of crazy, to it's you thinking of yourself and not thinking about the American people at the end of the day. And that's where I'm very liberal when it comes to something like that. When it's a basic right, like healthcare, food, and housing, I think that we should not be looking for ways to cut back on that. We should be looking for ways to make it more accessible for the people who are in need of it, and definitely vetting people much more to make sure that that scumbags aren't abusing the system and using it as a way to make gain off the American taxpayer. But at the end of the day, that you're gonna, by pointing out one or two different situations of individuals who are abusing the system, for every one person that's abusing the system, there's 100 people that need it. So I don't understand how I hate to say it. I honestly believe that it's just based in a racial hate, because you have individuals who have brown skin, and those are the individuals who use it the most, and people are just sick of them being able to have something to make their lives a little bit better. They want to see these individuals in tough situations. That's my personal belief. It's not based in fact.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you just said, but like, man, people that are paying like $400 or $500 for their car payment, they shouldn't be paying $250 for like insurance. Like you said, like health insurance should be a basic human right. Like that's not very humanitarian to say at the same time, oh, if you're paying for a Mercedes, it's okay if you pay 250 a month for healthcare. Like these people might make like, a little bit more than average, but it doesn't matter how much you're making at the end of the day. I think paying $250 a month for insurance is outrageous and insanity. I mean, maybe you can say, oh, they shouldn't complain about it if they're driving like a Lambo or like some crazy supercar. Yeah, okay, I can understand there. You're paying like $2,000 a month for your car, but if you're paying the same amount or almost the same amount for your health care as you're paying for your car payment, that is just mind boggling to me. I mean, like, yeah, sure, it is your health care and whatnot, but
What?
you don't even go. Sometimes you won't even go to the doctor one entire year, and you're paying that health care every single month. At least that car, you drive it every single day. It takes you to
Well,
work,
that's you
takes
being
you point A and
irresponsible.
point B.
That's you being irresponsible. You're paying for insurance, and it's recommended for you to go to the doctor every 6 months. I mean, that's you just being irresponsible. Like at
Some
the end of the
men
day,
don't like to go to the doctor.
and that's them being
A lot of people,
irresponsible.
most people either go once a year or every 6 months. Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it with this. You don't need to drive a Mercedes. You need healthcare. You understand?
Yeah, but you
And
don't gotta live in America and pay $250 a month for
in
healthcare
America,
either.
we have more SUVs than we have sedans on the road. Do you understand what that means? That means that those cars cost more. They guzzle gas, and it's not necessarily. No one needs that big of a car for an everyday trip for them to go one person to their job. That is a
I mean, some
luxury.
people work with big trunks,
Yeah,
trucks. A
and
lot of
that's that.
Americans work with big trucks.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of Americans do work with big trucks, but
And
I
what about
also
the people that have a family of five and they need to bring
and
all their
and
groceries and whatnot?
that's a beautiful thing that they have access to a SUV. But me and you both know that that's not the case.
A
Me and
lot
you
of
both know
Americans do like trucks, but like I
that.
said, just because you pay, like a lot of Americans that are on car payments, they're first off they're financing cars they can't really afford.
Yeah.
Second off, people that are normally paying 600 or 700 a month for their car, or even 500, they really truly can't afford it. So if they're also getting hit with a $250 insurance bill, I mean that's just insanity. But I guess it is what it is. You can always say prioritize your health care, pay that 250 because this guy that doesn't want to find a better job deserves to get
I
health
mean,
care. But
how easy is it to find a better job though, man? I mean, like you said, like there's so
like I
many
said,
factors.
like you
There are
said, there's
so
people
many
that don't
factors
want to
that
do
go
manual
into.
labor.
Exactly. There, but at the end of the day, that's not a high paying job. It's a decent paying job, but it's not a high paying job. You can go and work as a receptionist and make so much more. You could be a bartender and fucking kill it in the game in America, and you know this. So, like at the end of the day, it's just people are making excuses for why they don't want to be responsible. At the end of the day, this is something that is going to help everybody. At the end of the day, the more healthy bodies we have in this country, the more taxpayers we have in this country, the less people. And if they're working 30 hours a week, they're not going to be those individuals that you were just speaking of, working 15 hours, 20 hours a week and living off of EBT and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it's so hard to move up in this country. I mean, like if you don't have the proper education, you're not going to be able to move up in this country. And at the end of the day, we have one of the worst educational systems in the entire world for any country that is considered to be a power.
I kind of completely disagree with what you said. I mean, I think America is one of the easiest countries in the world to move up, and you don't need education to move up. I mean, there's truck drivers out there that are making
Hmm.
six figures.
Yes.
There's people that are steel companies. There's welders. You don't need to go to vocational school to be a welder. If you just practice and learn welding, you
If
can
you're
make six
apprentice.
figures as a welder. You have the
Yeah.
most access to any credit lines in the world. I mean, you can get a credit line like this and start your own business. There's a billion things you can do. You got internet, you got real life businesses, you got welding, you got truck driving, you got manual labor. There's a bunch of things. I mean, I think America is great for that reason. It's one of the easiest countries to move up. And if you have that good mindset and
It it
you
it
find goals in different
used to
things.
be. No, it used
No,
to
I
be
think
one
it
of.
is. I can't name another country that it's easier to move up in. I mean, I don't know if you can, but I personally can't name another country where you can go from broke to millionaire within like 5 years if you just put your mind to it. and you open a business or you do this and that. Let's
I
just
don't
take
know. I
millionaire
don't know
off
the
the
United
topics.
Kingdom. I don't know Switzerland. I don't know
No,
China.
not the United Kingdom. Switzerland, maybe, possibly. Switzerland is pretty good, but United Kingdom
China.
definitely not.
China.
No, not really.
Come on, man. Yeah,
Not
you need
China,
to do some
no.
research on China, man.
I mean,
I mean,
China has
but
to do
I'm
big
not a
business.
supporter of a communist country where people aren't allowed to speak about their government. So don't try to pull me
I'll
towards
just
that.
put it like this: if you really put your mind to it, you can find a. But then I want to move on to one last subject, and then I'll let you go. We'll just talk
Yeah.
briefly about it. But
Hmm.
I will put it this way: if there's, maybe you don't want to do certain jobs, yada yada yada, but if you do your research and you look around, and if you really like, maybe you will need some kind of minor education, but you won't need college education. There's jobs that you can find out there that you don't need that much education. Maybe you just need a quick training. Maybe you just need like couple months training or learning this or that. But there's jobs you can find out there, and you can make six figures within 5 years if you put your mind to it. Maybe not a millionaire. Not every. I mean, I think anyone can be a millionaire, but um, there's jobs you can find out there. You can find out. They're out there like truck drivers. There's many different jobs out there. Welders, construction work. There's many jobs out there that you can within 5 years you can be making six figures. Now in places like California and New York, six figures doesn't get you very far, but
Yeah.
in Florida, six figures can get you
A
relatively
really good
far.
life. A really good
Yeah,
life.
pretty really good
100%.
life, really good life for sure.
I mean, but I agree with you. I can't say I disagree with you when it comes to actually having the ability to grow within this country. What I'm speaking on is much harder. The cost of living is so
I
fucking
will agree with
expensive.
you 100%. Cost of living is fucked up. But let me read
So
this comment because it kind of
go
ties
ahead.
into what we said. It's a super chat, too. It is hard to move up in this country. We are basically in arrested development. How is anyone under 30 ever going to afford a house? Well, I mean, you want my honest opinions about that? You're probably not going to like the answer to it. You've lost 200 viewers now. Like I said, there are ways to make six figures before you turn 30. If you start young, and start doing that. I mean, I personally don't, but there's ways to do it. Like I said, if you start young, if you're 20 years old out there, and you don't really care what job you do. I mean, you can go work on the oil things out in the ocean. What are they called? The oil
Oil
drilling things
rigs.
out of the
Yeah,
oil
oil
rigs. Yeah,
rigs. Yeah.
my friend does that. He made
I mean,
like 20 grand in like 2 months.
yeah, but like if think about this, man. I made 70,000 last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I live in a one bedroom apartment.
I
You
already
know,
know how the rents are. Let me guess. Maybe 1,700,
yeah, some
eighteen
right
hundred, two
around there,
thousand.
100%. Yeah, so like it doesn't matter how much money you're making; it's about what you can do with your money. As we were just speaking, like getting a car, if you're buying a new car, you're spending 300, 400. Let you have bad credit, you 800, $900 a month, and not even talking about insurance, which is ridiculous. And that has nothing to do with anybody's policy. That's just corporate greed, and that's what's wrong with this country. And that is what I'm speaking on. It's very hard to move up in this country right now because every single time, like my mom raised us on $15,000 a year. We didn't want for anything, bro. We didn't want for a goddamn thing. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we were on EBT, but I had a PlayStation. I had TVs in every single last room. Where our lights rarely ever got cut off when she was working. Like we didn't have much issues. You know what I'm speaking? And right now, I'm making this amount of money, and I'm living paycheck to paycheck. So
One thing I
it
will say about that, people gotta be really, really smart with their money nowadays. Like we have this crazy consumerism. Maybe it's because people aren't like spending cash money. Back in the day, when there was cash, you would really think about before you spend your money.
it's the
And a huge
subscriptions,
thing that's
man.
bringing Americans down is the car payments. Like no one should be paying $600 or $700 a month for their car. I mean, everyone wants a Benz or a BMW. Everyone wants a nice
The
whip and
the
stuff like that.
nicest, the newest, yeah.
But like, no, you should be people. Even like, there's people that are making $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. These people are really smart. They're just buying like Honda Civics, 4, 5, 6, $7,000 cash. They save
Hmm.
their money up, and then like if you get a cheap enough car, you don't even got to get like full coverage
Premium
insurance on
insurance,
your
yeah.
car. I mean, I do
Hmm.
recommend full coverage insurance. I think it's kind of stupid not to have it, but you don't have to have it if your car's only a
Yeah.
couple grand. I mean, that can save you a lot of money as well. But like, I agree with you. Like, car insurance in Florida is fucked up because in general, we're paying more insurance because we live in like they say there's more accidents in Florida because of all the dumbass tourists that come around. Like, okay, how is that our fault? Like,
Yeah.
that's just another excuse from the insurance companies that want to raise prices on us.
And you're and what I'm paying is 60% commission that goes directly to my agent. So like I don't understand like
Yeah, that's
and
ridiculous. That should be illegal. That
it
should be
should
illegal.
it should be. It should be 100%, but that's never going to change, man. That's
Probably
never going to
not.
change.
It's really not fair, but shit, man. I mean, I guess you gotta look at the bright side. You're still making a lot more than a lot of people out there in Florida, and like that's definitely higher than the average wages in Florida.
Yeah,
I mean, my
definitely it
my
is.
cousin makes about the same. I don't know, like his financial situation or what he's really doing with his money, or if he's living paycheck to paycheck. But I don't know. He seems like he's doing all right.
Well, I mean, I have a lot of responsibility, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
I take care of my family, and
yeah. When you gotta
I
take
have a
care of your
daughter.
family, I understand a hundred
But
percent.
at the end of the day, like just 10 years ago, if I was making that amount of money, I could walk
You would be
into any
basically,
bank.
yeah, you would be
Yeah,
rich basically,
yeah, exactly.
especially in Florida.
Yeah, I could walk into any bank, get a loan just based on my income alone, no matter what my credit is. And it's it's not like that anymore, man. And it's getting harder and harder. I hope that we can reindustrialize America again, so that we do have more jobs that pay a living wage. But it's very hard to find those things nowadays, man. At this moment, right now, I'm unemployed for 3 weeks, and it's been very hard to find a job that will pay me a living wage. So I mean, it's very hard. It doesn't matter, how responsible you are with your money. It does matter, but at the end of the day, it's just so much more harder than it used to be. And we have this ideal of what America is. It's not that anymore, and it's getting worse daily,
I will say,
especially since
this
this new
guy,
president got into office.
I completely disagree on that part. But let me talk about this. Like we just talked about how he's lowering the taxes, but that's a whole nother debate. So
Yeah, but the cost
250
of
million
living,
people are going to work on oil rigs. No, not everyone can work on oil rigs. Not everyone wants to. But I'm saying if you want to make like a guaranteed six figures, it might hurt your health. You might die, but you'll
your
make
family
six
be good.
figures.
Yeah.
The fact that
Ah,
people have to buy beat up cars and living with three roommates until they're 30 in order to get ahead is proof American economy is not okay. Listen, I don't think the economy is perfect, but to say that you can't live on your own, that it's impossible to get your own place until you're 30, I think is like a huge coping mechanism. Like, my guy, if you save for 10 years living with your parents, you have 10 years to save your money. I'm just saying, maybe you should be able to
hey,
like
but
move out or live with roommates or whatnot.
that's not the energy a lot of parents have here in America, man. You
I
turn
know
18,
that's
get
part of
get
the
the fuck out of
problem.
my house.
No, a
Because
lot
it's
of them
that
don't say get the
expensive.
fuck out of the
It's
house,
so
huh?
expensive taking care of another person, man. It's really hard, bro. You probably don't have a child, but man, this shit's not easy. It really, really is not. You know, it, it's extremely expensive.
I don't know
But
how it is for different people of different backgrounds and whatnot, but like for the white people, like these people's parents is like letting them stay with them until like they're 30 years old. Like
yeah,
it's completely different for us. I will say
yeah,
that. Like
yeah, definitely. I would agree with that, but I mean, I'm
like I
not.
think
I'm
it's
a
personally good to kick them the fuck out. I mean, I moved out when I was 18.
No, I would prefer, because I've even told my daughter that, I want her to stay with me till she's 24, 25. Like stack all your money up, get a job, stack your money up, and hopefully
It's
you can
different, I
stack up.
think, if you have a daughter or a son. If I had a daughter, I'd probably say the same thing. If I had a son, I'm probably telling him to get the fuck out, man. You got to hustle on your own.
No, I'm gonna tell him the same thing, man. Stack up, get a good 30, $40,000 stacked up, and then go get yourself a home. At the end of the day, I think that's what
That's
needs to be
smart as
happening.
well.
But it's not easy. Not a lot of people have the education that I have, and not a lot of people are willing to work the way that I work. Right now I'm doing 6 7 days temp work. And there's not a lot of people, like, they look at their my friends look at me like, yo, that's crazy. I can't believe you're doing that. And it's sad. And when you look to the left and you see all of these immigrants that are coming in, they're willing to do all of these jobs and live that lifestyle and actually find a way to move up. So maybe it is easy to, move up in America. We just got to work a little bit harder, work a little bit more,
Yeah,
like
most people don't want to work 6 or 7 days a week. Most people don't want to work 50 or 60 hours. I never had a problem with working 50 or 60 hours a week. And people will complain, oh, I need a day off, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I mean, all I'm going to say is in, 5 to 10 years, 20 years, you're not going to regret that you worked as hard as humanly possible. The only thing that you're going to regret is that you didn't work hard and harder.
yeah, yeah. I feel that way about myself right now, man. 100%. But I think the biggest thing that needs to happen for the economy to get better is exactly what Trump wants to do, as far as, industrializing America again. But we definitely need to slow up with these tariffs, because it's not doing us good right now when we're dealing with a world trading system. And, especially when it comes to our food, we don't get most of our food doesn't come from America. And if
What do
you're
you think
going to,
about RFK Jr.? That was the last topic I wanted to bring up with you. But let's wait before you say anything. Let's not talk too much about the whole vax thing because YouTube is just very sensitive when it comes to that topic. So if we say anything, we can just
you know,
agree to
I,
disagree. I'm just gonna say he's if we're gonna say anything about it, we can just say jabs and not get too explicit. But I'll start off by saying that I do think that there's nothing wrong with doing a lot of research into jabs and whatnot. But other than that, if he takes anything away, that's bad. But we should do some research. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I'm talking about all the other aspects of RFK. But this guy says you keep losing viewers because you won't have me on. Man, I'll have you on. Just join the Discord. But if you want to come on right now after him, drop a $20 super chat. I said this like 100 times.
I think it's just those far riders, and they see this lovely black face of mine, and they're like, "Oh no, let's get the fuck out of here." But it is what
No,
it
the
is.
views aren't dropping. The views are good.
Yeah, they've been staying right around 200, to be
They're
honest.
decent. They're decent. I mean, he keeps saying every second, you lost 100 viewers. Man, I haven't lost 100 viewers. I don't know what you're smoking, but
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, man. This was a lot of fun. I definitely am entertained by your channel here, man. And a lot of times when you speak, I disagree with you, and it pisses me the fuck off. So I'm very happy that that you have me on here to have a conversation with you. And sadly,
that's part of the method, though. I gotta piss you guys off so that way you can come on here and talk with me one on one.
yeah, and it's sad to say, I think I ended up liking you more after actually speaking to you.
I like you too, man.
All right,
Have a good
but
evening.
I'm gonna shake up this cocktail and go to bed, man. Have a good
All
one.
right. Happy Labor Day.
You
Peace.
too, man. Happy Labor Day.
Best thing we can do is break up BlackRock Incorporated. I agree with you 100%. Also, I don't know where you're buying a house for 9K. It's kind of like, where the hell are you getting a 9K down payment at? Where do you live in Idaho or something with the potato farmers? I'm confused. Hell yeah, guys. Hope you found that entertaining. Smash that like and subscribe button. Any final questions? Any comments? Anything you guys want to talk about? Drop some super chats. Rural Wisconsin. Okay, yeah, you might be able to get a house for 9K down. For a 9K down payment. Maybe in Wisconsin, but not in Florida. The down payments in Florida are normally about 20 to 30K. I mean, I don't know what you want to talk about, but if you want to debate with me, if you want to talk with me one on one, you can join my Discord. Just make sure you're following the rules of the Discord, otherwise, the moderators will kick you out. But we're pretty free speech, just so everyone knows. He was a good guy. I think that was a good conversation. I thought he was a little bit more hostile on the Discord, but he was a nice guy. I know a lot of people in the real estate business. I've never seen someone outbidded by BlackRock. Like I said, if you want me to put you on now, drop a $20 super chat. Not a $2 one, not two, 20. I'll put you on right here, right now. Hey, thank you, Jason. If not, I'm gonna go to bed. But you can join the Discord. I can set you up a time some other time. Yeah, but I said a $20 super chat, like 10 $2 super chats, or like 5 $2 super chats ago. Sometimes I charge more than 20. So that's a deal. I've charged 50 before. So 20 is a deal. But no, if anyone wants to be on the Discord, I'm fully open for that, but I'm not going to do it right here, right now. If you want to be on here, you can be on here. It's free. All you got to do is join the Discord and wait for the next availability, which will be tomorrow. But if you want to come on here right now, right here, then you got to drop a $20 super chat. If not, I'm going to hop off here. It's free. Yeah, you just got to go in the Discord and schedule it. If anyone wants to debate, if anyone wants to talk, you can join the Discord for free and schedule it. But if you want it right here, right now, that's the only time I charge. The only time I charge is when people want to do it right here, right now. You're welcome to come on, though, bro. I'm inviting you to the Discord. It's link in my bio, and you can come on here. So let's see you join. All right, guys, I really appreciated that, but I'm hopping off now. Unless we got any final questions, comments, I'll give you guys a full minute. Drop a super chat if you want to talk about something. If you have a good question, we can talk about it for 5-10 minutes. Just waiting for some super chats. If not, I'm gonna hop off here. You did not drop $100, brother. That is a blatant lie. And I said we can debate. You just gotta join the Discord. It's that simple. I can have you on here, but you just gotta wait till tomorrow. That simple, brother. You don't gotta get mad about it. I'll give you guys another 30 seconds. If you have anything you want to talk about and anything you want to debate about, you can drop a super chat. If not, I'm gonna hop off here. How are you gonna talk to him if you're not on the Discord, guy? Exactly. I can't even get you in this live stream if I wanted to, unless you're in the Discord, because I have to send you the link. I have to send you the link to join. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't get you in here unless you join the Discord. I said he could come in. I told him he could come on the live stream. All he has to do is join the Discord. What magic do you want? Anyway, guys, I'm jumping off now. Final 20 seconds. Any comments? Any questions? Anything you guys want to do? Yeah, you get in from the Discord. That's the only way to get in the stream is from the Discord. But have a nice evening, everybody. Can't do card tricks. You click on my name. You go to the links. Here, I'll even show you. I'll be kind enough to show you. The link. Link in my bio. You can join in through the link, and we can talk there. Click on Your Own Travel. Go under the Cameo link. It's the second one down. You'll see Discord, and you jump in. Peace out, guys. Have a nice night. Have a nice night, everybody.